Welcome to Bruce C. TV. I'm your host, Bruce C. for Charles. This is one of my best buddies, Dave Cihlar, and our channel is dedicated to
ordinary people
telling
extraordinary stories.
And this is one of them. Today we're going to broach a subject that is near and dear to our hearts to some degree, playing the ponies.
There's a great quote in a movie where the guy tells the other guy, he says, you know, gambling, that's illegal. And the other guy goes, well, it's not illegal, it's just frowned upon.
Well, I remember an old Jimmy Stewart movie, and he played a baseball player, black and white movie, and this is one of my mantras, because I kind of agree with him. They all went to a gamble with the, ball players were gambling, playing cards and stuff, and they go, hey, aren't you going to play? Aren't you going to gamble? He goes, no, I'm not really interested in gambling. He goes, why? He goes, well, I played once and I won. I played another time and I lost. I figured I did it all. I kind of like that.
I like
and
that.
That's kind of how I kind of look at it.
I get it.
So getting back to my gambling experiences with the ponies, I'm going to start out with a quick story and then David's going to finish. But I love ponies and I love going to the track.
There's nothing like being on the rail when they come down the home stretch and the whole ground is shaking and the noise and the speed. It's an amazing event.
The vibe of the crowd, everybody cheering on.
Exactly, and it doesn't transfer to TV or anything. But be there, it's
what do they say, the
extraordinary.
fastest minute? Well, that's the
Kentucky Derby's fastest 2 minutes in sports.
I'd say the last 20 seconds of any good race is just there's nothing like it. Although I do love, I love being at the paddock at the beginning, looking at the horses, look at the jockeys, reading about them, and checking them out. And one of the things we love, my wife's grandfather used to ride the harness.
Oh, okay.
Circuit.
Yeah, sulkies.
Yeah, he grew up in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, one of the things we like to do is, we like to experience different tracks. We've been to Churchill Downs. My favorite track was Keeneland. So we went to Keeneland, and Keeneland's in Louisville, or in Lexington, I'm sorry. It's in the heart of bluegrass country. There is no track on the planet like Keeneland. It's old, stately, awesome.
That's where they have the auctions.
That's where they have the auctions. They don't even rate
yearling auctions that are like, people are bidding like $5 million on a horse that they don't even know, that hasn't even run a race yet.
Well, they only race there in April and October, I believe. And we went there. We go, the opening racing season is the first Saturday in April. We went down there, brought our daughter, was 2 years old at the time, the first time we went. And I'll never forget, we had a great day at the track, and we hung out and did what we could. And she's 2, and you go around the paddock, you go back to the stables, we're talking to people, they're watering, feeding the horses and doing all that stuff. It was fun. But the coolest thing is the last race, I get her in the paddock, and I'm holding my little crapper, checking out the horses, and she's pointing to one. You like that? She goes, yeah, I like that horse. I look at my wife and go, this is still $2 down for the horse. Okay. So we batted the horses. Now, mind you, we haven't won anything all day. So we go up to the rail. We bet on the horse, go to the rail, and I think I all placed the bet. But anyhow, excitement. She's thrilled to come in, and her horse comes in. I can't remember when plays her show, but her horse won money, and I think it was like $12.40 or $10.40 or something. So we collect the cash, and long day. We're going back to the hotel. So on the way to the hotel, pops in my head that we're gonna need a cold one when we get to the room. Wife and I can sit on the balcony, have a nice cold one. So I stop at the liquor store. I run in, I grab a 6-pack. I go to pull out the credit card. Now normally I'm a credit card, debit card guy, but I happen to have the cash that she won. So I plop down the cash and we leave and we have a great beer. And later that night I remember looking at my wife and took a sip of beer and I go, when I tell people this story, I could really shorten it real quickly. And here's how it is. I took my 2-year-old to the racetrack. She bet on a horse and won, and I spend her winnings on booze.
You're a good father.
Now, you got a story, though.
Well, yes.
It's rock solid.
My parents really liked to bet the ponies, but the reason behind it was not really gambling. They liked to be around it because they grew up around it. They grew up in Cicero, Illinois, across the IC tracks from 2 horse racing tracks.
Right.
Sportsman's Park, which is no longer there.
And that was harness.
That was harness racing. Right. And then Hawthorne Park, which was the thoroughbred racing.
Right.
Now, Hawthorne Park, believe it or not, is the second oldest track in the United States next to Saratoga. It was built in 1888 or something like that, so it's well over 100 years old.
That's crazy.
So, anyway, my mother liked to bet the ponies, and my dad liked to bet them too, and he actually worked at the track when he was younger, sweeping up and so forth, because of they had brooms and they would clean up all the tickets that people would throw, the tote tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And they would sweep them all up, and then the guys would get together in a room and they'd go through them, and people would throw out winners, and that's a common thing. People would tell you that go to the track that people are always throwing out winners, basically.
I can sure that's going to happen, right?
Yes. So
So anyhow,
yes. So they like to go to the track. And so last summer we went to a baseball game with my brother, and we were driving back from the White Sox game. And he asked me if I got the gene from our parents. I was thinking, like, what gene? And he's like, the gambling gene. He goes, because I never got it. Now, and that was kind of a weird question. But my brother, he's a very intelligent guy, but he's kind of a quiet guy.
Yeah.
And so I said, oh, yeah, I got it. I go, as a matter of fact, I bet $25 on a baseball game. I just won it. He didn't say anything. I bet the over because I didn't think the White Sox would win, and I didn't want to bet against my favorite team.
Right, so, nice move.
There you go. And so I made a few bucks, and he didn't really say anything. I don't know what he thought of that. Like, really, you bet on a baseball game? So anyway, so I said, well, did I ever tell you the story that I had a dream about Mom? And our parents were deceased, when I had the dream. And this was probably a little bit after that when I was telling him. So he said, no, you never told me because he lives in a different town. I don't see him that often. So I worked as a network guy for a bank, and we had a bunch of locations, over 200 locations. Yeah, and I kept a pad of paper, IT. I kept a pad of paper and a pen by my bed because I'd get calls at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And, something was broken somewhere and I had to go fix it, so I would make a note. Sometimes I wouldn't have to go until I got up in the morning. Sometimes I had to go immediately, but I had something to write on. So I had a dream one night, and I was at the Kentucky Derby, which I had been to. In the dream, I'm at the Kentucky Derby. I've been to the Kentucky Derby, so visually I understand the place. So when you go to the north part of it by the grandstand, by the finish line, of course, the track is oval and the road is straight, so you have this like plaza, if you will, a wide plaza, and with enough room for people to walk down without getting into traffic and stuff like that. So I was standing there in the dream, and my mother was across the street, and here she walks towards me, comes across the street,
and she's in like a crowd of people.
Oh yeah, she's coming out of a crowd of people, and she says to me, "David, we have to get in there and." Bet on the 10 horse. We place the bet on the 10 horse before we get shut out. If you don't know what shut out means, it means you're standing in line, ready to make a bet, and the race goes off, and you don't get your bet down, and inevitably that horse wins. It's just the way. It's just the way it goes.
Don't get shut out.
So this is what happens in the dream. She's like, "Hurry up, we got to get in there so we don't get shut out. We got to put money on that 10 horse."
10 horse.
Right. So here's the deal with that. This dream occurred in February. The Kentucky Derby is the first Saturday in May. Okay, right. So it's February, and so they don't know who's going to be in the Kentucky Derby yet. Right. You have the preliminary races that set up the Kentucky Derby, like Louisiana Derby, Arkansas Derby, Santa Anita, all that. Those haven't even occurred yet.
No.
So what's important is that she didn't tell me a name of the horse. She told me a number.
A number.
So
10.
I wrote it down. So I wait patiently for it to come around. And they used to draw the post positions on Thursday. Now I think they do it early because they want you to bet all week on it. They draw the post positions on Thursday. So I was very busy at work, and on Friday I got a newspaper and I looked at the number 10, and it was an Irish horse. In other words, an Irish bred horse coming from Ireland over the pond.
Not a good sign.
No, European horses never really do good in the Derby.
Yeah, the travels and
exactly, the travel and all that, and they've never run at the track, and some of them run on turf, and now they're running on dirt.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting. So I'm like, well, I don't know about this horse, and the odds they kind of liked them. The odds makers liked them. It was like 15-1 or something. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't the favorite, but he wasn't like the long shot either. So anyway. We go to a friend's, had an investment in one of the OTPs. You know that friend. We won't mention any names. No. He was a silent partner. Yes. So we went there for like a dinner before the Derby, which goes off about 5:30, and we had a couple cocktails and so forth. So I tell everybody the story. I'm sitting at a table with about 6 people.
Yeah.
So they're all excited. They want to make a bet on this horse. They had this dream, and my mom told me bet number 10. And okay, so I didn't see this horse yet. So now I'm watching the post parade come out when they parade the horses out of paddock and so forth, and it's a gray horse. Now my mother bet horses, but here's the caveat: she only bet him to show. My father bet him to win.
But she always bet. She liked gray horses. I mean,
she really liked gray horses. If there was a gray horse in the race, she was betting on it.
So she's got a number 10,
right? And it's
she didn't know in your dream. You didn't know.
I had no idea what horses it was, and it's the only gray horse in the race. And my friend Steve was there, and he looks at me. He goes, "That's a gray horse. Did your mom bet gray horses?" Yes, she did.
It's great. I love it.
Right. So everybody's like, "There's a caveat, though. She only bet to show."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So they're like, "Well, how much are you going to bet on?" I said, "I don't really know. This really isn't about money or anything like that." So I think I threw $100 to show on it or whatever, and the horse goes around, and It's leading at the top of the stretch, but fades down the stretch, fades to third. In other words, it shows, and I get show money.
So he comes home.
Right. It was like I bet $100, and I think I got $280 back or whatever. So I made $180 on the deal or whatever. But I got up from the table when the race was over because I'm still stunned. Like,
you gotta be stunned.
Right. I walked outside and I lit a cigarette and I was tearing up, thinking about my mother. And Steve came out and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "It's all right, man." I go, "I don't know what to make of it." And he's like, she just wanted to talk to you and tell you that she's okay and talk about something that you both like.
And she wanted you to win.
And she wanted me to win, too.
The Gray Horse number 10.
The Gray Horse number 10.
That's just crazy.
It was amazing.
It's a beautiful story. We got a lot more of that a little bit
until
further
next
down the road. Yeah, so if you enjoyed our story, please subscribe to Bruce C TV. Don't forget to check your post notifications so you can get notified when the next story drops. Try and get one out once a week.
Great.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Till next time.